On this episode of Carnage, we're going to have to repair the chassis rail on Dad's ute. So we have found some rust in the chassis rail of Dad's ute, and it's not an uncommon problem with these old Valiants. In the States, the Dodge Dart that these cars were based off, they mounted the steering box directly to the K-frame. But then when the platform made its way here to Australia, the Aussie engineers decided to go with the steering box directly up against the chassis rail, and then, you know, all that constant pushing and pulling backwards and forwards as you're steering around the joint. Well, it just increases the tension on the chassis rail, and then obviously you get water in there and gets trapped and rust, and it's all bad, really. It is all bad. However, it is repairable. We've repaired them before. As you may remember from the Rust-Oleum wagon, it had rust in the chassis rail as well. We cut out the affected area, replaced the bad metal with some good quality heavy duty steel, and we're going to do the same thing with this. But I'm not keen on laying on the concrete floor for a week while I do it, so I'm going to have to make some adjustments here. So VN is coming off the hoist. Poor old Superman's been up there for a while. Well, it's got to have to come down. Ute's going to have to go on the hoist, and we're going to spend the next few days repairing this chassis rail. Yay. Now, a smart person would have put the ute on the hoist to start off with. But Scotty, in his wisdom, decided to just whip off the brakes and the wheels and everything right here on the floor. And yep, it's all gone pear-shaped. So now we're going to have to jack it up off the gearbox cross member, lower it down on this pallet, steer it around with a pallet jack so we can get the cars out and get the ute up on the hoist. Ugh. This is my life. Oompa loompa doopity doo. Come on. Whoop! Don't you do that. So this is what we're dealing with. We've got a crack that runs sort of across here, and then there's a hole in the chassis rail. That's pretty much exactly where the wagon had it. But we've also got this area here, just near where the bump stop mount is. So we're going to have to cut the bump stop off, fix this area, and then weld the bump stop on again. And that is going to suck. It's going to suck a lot. So basically, I'm going to have to pull the entire front suspension out. So torsion bars, control arms, K-frame, the whole deal. It's all going to come out. I am not a fan. So today is the big day. We're going to start breaking out the grinders and all that sort of stuff. Now, I've already removed all the front suspension from the car, and I've saved you the pain of watching me go for all that. But yeah, K-frames out on the floor, steering box, all that. Removed all the steering and suspension from the front end. So now we're going to lift it up and break out the grinders. See how bad this is. Not looking forward to this. So as I mentioned before, we've removed all the front end, and it's even worse than I thought. Check this out. So we've got obviously this bit under here, which we've pointed out before, in between the two steering box mounts. So they've got a bit up under there. We've got this crack that runs up here at the back of the bump stop. But if we come around this side, we've got a vertical crack right up through the centre of the bump stop area that runs right up here. So yeah, it's all bad. Not happy at all, Jan, I've got to say. So that means we're going to have to cut off our bump stop. Actually, we're going to have to pretty much cut off all this stuff, and I'll show you why. Because what I'm going to do is cut out the affected areas, weld in new metal, but I think we're going to have to whack a sleeve on this. Now, I'm not really a fan of the whole sleeve thing, but in this case, given our time constraints that we have, I really think is something we're going to have to do. Yeah, we'll weld it up, fix it up the best we can, and then whack a sleeve on it. And then at a later date, when we've got more time, we'll have to do basically a full rail replacement job, which involves cutting away basically everything on the underside of the rail and building a new rail. And I saw one of these jobs the other day at Valiant Spares, and they do about 50 of them a year. And it basically means rebuilding the entire rail. It's not a fun job, but it is a bit of a thing with these cars. So, all right, I'm gonna have to get to some grinding, cut some of this away, and see what we're left with. I'll start things off by stripping away all the dirt and everything else in the road. Good old Ryobi grinder. We've got like half a dozen of these bad boys, all with different attachments. So one with a stripper disc, one with a flapper disc, one with a cutter disc, one with a grinding disc, and that sort of thing. So yeah. You may be wondering why I'm removing so much dirt and grime and paint, and that's because we're looking at probably installing one of these. So this is a chassis rail sleeve. As you can see, it's all pre-cut, and you just got to bend it there basically, but that's easy to do. Pretty common practice. I'm not a massive fan, but in this case, I'm going to go with it because yeah, we don't have a lot of time. And these are a very quick fix, and they are very effective. So basically, that will go up around the steering box mount. You got holes there and there for the K-frame. So we're just going to have to cut off our bump stop, and well, the bump stop there and the bump stop there, basically. So that's your upper bump stop and that's your lower bump stop. But yeah, this will have to go around it all. And I'm just trying to work out how far we have to go with our grinding. And we might have to go a little bit further up and down. Okay, we'll keep going. Okay, so we're up to the part where we've got to cut away our bump stops, and it's just very hard to get a grinder in there, so air chisel time. It's not just hammer time, it's air hammer time. Here we go. Ho, ho, ho. Just getting into the weld there a little bit. Oh, wow. Ugh. Oh. Ugh. It's funny, this isn't rusted at all. The chassis rail, yeah, she's shot. Check it out. It's pretty much just gone. All there, paper thin, all up the side. Wow, she's not good. All right, we'll get this part off as well and start cutting away some metal. So right now I'm just making up a bit of a pattern on the shape of the chassis rail. We'll cut that out, then we'll line it up again. That's the position of our K-frame bolts, basically. But yeah, and then we'll flip around and mark the back side where we're putting basically our bump stop for the top and the bump stop for the lower. Because then, once we clean all this up and cut away all the shit, we won't have a clue where it all went. This is not going to be a fun job. We've got our template, such as it is, but it does fit up along there. There we go. Bolt hole there. Bolt hole there. Bolt hole there. Bolt hole there, basically. All right. So lower mount went there and there to there, basically. Might drill the bolt holes through there, and that will give us a permanent position to register it off. Okay, so I'm going to drill our holes through. I'm going to start by cleaning up this entire area, see what's good metal and what's not. Obviously I've created some holes there, but we'll be able to fix them up a bit later. I think we're going to have to cut behind this K-frame bolt. I think everything forward of there is pretty good. It's mainly from there to there and then in that area as well. So yeah, we'll cut away what's bad and see what we can save. Back in the day, a lot of workshops would have just slapped that sleeve over the chassis rail, all right? I won't hammer it up in there because it'll be hard to get off afterwards, but they would have slapped that sleeve up in there, welded it in place, called it a day. Now, I'm dodgy, but I'm not that dodgy. So what we're going to do is cut away all the bad metal, replace it with good stuff. Everything that needs to go is going to go. We'll put good metal in there. And then I think we will go with the sleeve, just for safety's sake for the meantime. But yeah, I'm going to be doing this again within the next few years, I think. I'd love to spend the time on it now, but yeah. What have we got? 3 weeks? 3 weeks to go. Let's just get it done. Right, it takes the crack out of the equation. Yeah, I think that's enough. We'll start with that. We'll just cut this side across the bottom and then work out how much we cut on this side. Just giving the little Ryobi cut-off tool a workout. Now this thing's brand new from Ryobi. It's awesome. 76mm disc. It's got forward and reverse. All right, so can turn that way, turn that way. Can do like, you know, 20 something thousand RPM. It's pretty awesome. Now I've got to work out which way that's going. It's reverse, that's forward, okay. The beauty of having forward and reverse is, like in this situation, if I do it that way, it's trying to pull that way, so I can switch it to reverse, and it's trying to go the other way, and it also throws the sparks this way. I might go back that way. There we go, look at that, like butter. Wow. Oh, look at that. Oh, yuck. Oh, that's bad. That's really bad. Okay, so we've got a spot weld holding it in place there, but yuck. Oh, that's terrible. Wow. That's not great at all. Well, it's not going to be a day job, is it? But at least we can see the extent of where it's at. And we've got a clear line of where the rust is at on the other side. We'll get it fixed though. We'll make it happen. Time to break out the plasma cutter, I think. It's just getting a bit tight in there with the angle grinder, plus I just like using this thing. You can tell where the metal's soft. The tone of it changes completely. Oh, man. This thing is so much worse than the wagon was, which is crazy. I mean, the car is so good. The rest of the car is absolutely rust free. Yet the chassis rail is just trash. Work that out. Now we've cut away as much of the chassis rail as I want to. All the bad metal is gone, leaving most of the good stuff. I'm going to spray inside with some rust converter, a lot of rust converter, just to get to the parts where I can't really reach, and yeah, just try and halt any further rusting in there. It's literally dripping out of there right now. Whoa, Nelly. Woo! That's the good shit. Now, we know this stuff is highly flammable, as we've seen in previous videos where I've set fire to the inside of things. Anyway, we will let that dry quite a bit, and we'll come back with some fresh metal and some welding gear and fix it all up. Good as new. Today is welding day. That's right, we're going to rebuild the front end of this Valiant today. I want to get it all done and dusted today, so tomorrow I can hook in to the motor building stuff, because that's all pretty much ready to pick up. Let's build a motor, which was kind of the whole aim of this project. Build the motor, get it in the car, get it done. Didn't really want to be doing this stuff, but we're here, we're doing it, and yeah, it's not fun, but hey, it's got to be done. So I've hit the edges with this weld-proof primer stuff. It's actually quite hard to find. If you try and go through, like, you know, super cheap, Bunnings, no one carries this stuff, all right? You've got to go to an automotive body shop. They are the places to get this stuff from, but yeah, weld-proof primer. So we've coated our edges with that. What I'm going to do is start filling in some of the holes that I tore in the chassis rail using the air chisel. Scotty was a bad boy. But we'll fix that stuff and then we'll start rebuilding the rest with new metal. We're just waiting for this copper primer to dry, and it's not dry. So I'll wait for that to dry and then we'll get to welding. So now that we've patched those holes, I'm going to mark out some of this 3mm bar. It's a little bit thicker than the chassis rail stuff, but I think it'll be good. We'll mark it out. We'll cut it a little bit long to start off with. So I'll mark it there. We'll cut it just a fraction long, and then I'll clean it up to size. So we'll do a plate there, we'll do a plate underneath, but then we'll have to do some fill-in pieces down here as well. It's going to be a bit of a jigsaw, but it's kind of the way it's going to go. And then we're going to put a sleeve over the whole top. Okay, so we've cleaned the grayscale off, giving us a nice clean surface to weld onto. So we're going to sit that in our hole, see if it's the right shape and size. Okay. Oh, that's pretty close. Now that we've got our piece cut to size, we're going to use these magnets to hold them in place. You can get them from Hare and Forbes or anywhere like that. We'll just sit it across there and one across there. That'll hold it flush. What I might do is whack a bit of primer on it first. Give it a light coat. So I think that came out pretty good. It's not too bad at all. Certainly my welding has improved, I think you can all agree, and it's all due to this marvellous machine from Hare and Forbes. This Viper Unimig is an awesome bit of kit, I gotta say. I had a cheap MIG welder years ago, and I always felt like I couldn't weld anything together, but this has changed my welding experience because, man, it makes me feel so confident. Years ago, I would never even have attempted a job like this, you know? Structural repairs, nah, wouldn't have done it. But a welder like this gives me the confidence to do it because it is such a good machine. So it's got consistency, you can learn what works, what doesn't. You know, where some of those cheap welders, it doesn't matter what setting it is, it's all crap. So I'm pretty happy with that. We will start piecing the rest of it together, I think. So we're just going to use our little press brake attachment for the hydraulic press. We're going to bend up a piece of steel that accounts for this bent lower section. So it goes up here, bends, and goes across to there. So we're just going to put a bend in this thing. Make sure we get our angle kind of right. Might take us a couple goes, but we'll line this up. Well, that is pretty close to perfect. So take it up the other shop, clean it up, weld it in place. Nailed it. Well, that is pretty close to perfect. It's not too bad at all. I think we'll lock that in place and tack her up, see what we can make out of it. I was going to do a little cardboard template here, but I can actually reach through the chassis rail and mark out the size of the hole that I need on the back of this little piece of metal. So I'll just cut away all that stuff and weld that into there. There we go, kind of like that. I don't know what to say about that one other than that's awesome. So we're about to weld up the last patch in the chassis, so it's going to be sealed up, so make sure I'll get some weld through primer on the back side of all those patches. But yeah, we're getting pretty close. Not too bad at all, really. Okay, well that fits perfect, that's good. So we're going to coat the back in weld-through primer and then we will burn it into the car and it will remain forevermore. So we'll give it a coating of proper etch primer and see what that looks like, but at the moment I'm just giving it a prep wash. Make sure there's no grease or anything. Give it a good coating. Woo, boy, that smells good. So we've still got a few cans of this stuff left. Oh, just, yeah, give me that. Anyway, I'm etch priming the bare metal on the chassis rail. We'll see what it all looks like. But I think we still will do the sleeve afterwards because the sleeve will make the whole thing so much stronger. But yeah, I picture a time somewhere in the future where we'll probably cut the sleeve off and redo it all with a proper rail. You know, there are guys making reproduction rails now with all the gussets, and it's all beautifully formed and heavy duty steel and that sort of thing, and I'd love to get one, but I don't have the time, don't have the money to buy one of those rails at the moment. All that stuff, you know, we are trying to hit a deadline, even though COVID may screw us on that as well. Anyway, we'll see how we go. Let's paint it up, see what it looks like. Give it a bit of a coating. Well, we've got our rail in place. Got a few big clamps pulling it up onto the rail. Got the bolts for the K-frame pulling up as well. Got our steering box bolt through there, making sure that goes through, no problems at all. So it's all in place, ready to go. So I think it's time to fire up the welder one last time, burn this motherfucker in. All right, let's get ready to rock. So finally, we are done, fully seam welded, all painted, ready to go. It's done, it's finished. Now I need to get K-frame back in the car, steering, suspension, new ball joints, new tie rod ends, the whole kit caboodle. You're gonna see it all on future episodes of Carnage. But wow, what an epic couple of days this has been, from the whole discovery of the rust, to cutting it out, to repairing it, to sleeving it. It's been basically a couple of days work. Yeah, wow. Hopefully it hasn't delayed us too much, but next we're going to hook in, like I said, suspension, all that stuff, then the engine, and get it ready, rego. Hopefully we're going to be able to drive this thing to Mopar Sunday, but if you've been reading the news reports, you'll know COVID has overtaken the land. New South Wales has it, Queensland has it, there's border restrictions, there's lockdowns. It is all going wrong right now. So we may not even get to go to Mopar Sunday. But don't fret, even if we don't end up going to Queensland, we'll road trip it somewhere, even if it's in the state, we'll definitely hit the drag strip, see what it runs. But yes, we're going to stick with this thing. We're going to finish it, get it on the road before we move on to anything else. So stick with us, subscribe, like, hit that bell, do all those crazy things. We need you guys to subscribe. Over 50% of you do not subscribe to the channel, which is a little bit disappointing. Love the Scotty. Scotty is great. Scotty is good. Love me. Join me next time on Carnage.